Up next, Charity Dean joins Authentically Detroit as co-host and founder of KwanzaaMe, Lawrielle West, discusses her journey as a woodworker and the importance of celebrating the principles of Kwanzaa all year long. But first, this week's hot takes from Bridge Detroit and Fox 2 Detroit, how Detroit fits into Michigan's population growth plan, and officials tout Detroit's falling homicide rate. Keep it locked. Authentically Detroit starts after these messages.
Hey, it's Stephen Henderson from WDET and Bridge Detroit. If you love listening to Orlando and Donna's incisive interviews and conversations on the Authentically Detroit podcast, I hope you'll also listen to the podcast I host, Detroit Today from WDET on Detroit's NPR station. Detroit Today is a daily podcast where I talk with community leaders, elected officials, and residents of Detroit, the region, and the state about politics and the values that animate our communities. Listen to Detroit Today every day on your favorite podcast app.
Hey, y'all, it's Orlando. We just want to let you know that the views and opinions expressed during this podcast episode are those of the co-hosts and guests and not their sponsoring institutions. Now, let's start the show. Hello, Detroit and the world. Welcome to another episode of Authentically Detroit, broadcasting live from Cass Corridor at the WDET studios. We are a content partner to BridgeDetroit.com. I'm Orlando Bailey.
And I'm Charity Dean.
Thank you for listening in and supporting our efforts to build a platform of authentic voices for real people in the city of Detroit. We want you to like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast on all platforms. Donna, unfortunately, is out sick again. We love you, Donna, and we miss you. We hope you feel better. So this week, again, we decided to bring back the one and only, because that's her requirement of being introduced, the Charity Dean, to fill in as co-host. We also have the pleasure of being joined by founder of KwanzaaMe, Lawrielle West, to discuss the importance of collective economics, community engagement, and how to keep the principles of Kwanzaa alive all year long. Lawrielle, welcome to Authentically Detroit.
Thank you. What up, though, y'all?
What up, though? Habargani.
Okay, period. I even had to teach you that. Habargani.
I know about the Nguza Saba now. I know the language now.
Come on now. There, huh?
Yes.
Been there. You feel me? All right, we are back. This is the first episode of 2024.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
New me.
Yes, we in here. And 2024 is already off to a blazing start, and we have Cat Williams to thank for that. But before we get into all of the shenanigans, how y'all doing? How was the break? How was the holidays? How was the week finding you? Charity, welcome back as my co-host. We had fun last time.
We did. It was a blast.
We love each other, but we gonna argue. We gonna argue each other down.
Absolutely. East side versus west
Let's
side. You
go
know what it
all
is.
Day.
Man.
How you doing? How was break?
I
How
am
was
great.
Mexico?
Mexico was a wonderful. Nene was there in full effect.
In case you guys don't know, the Charity Dean has an alter ego, and her name is
Nene.
Okay, no, Nene.
Yes.
All right.
I had a great break. I rested, spent time with my family. Yeah. It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
I love that.
What about you? What you do?
Oh, what did I got to know my house again.
Oh, that's
like
good.
My house.
Like you spent some time.
I got to
get
spend
your money's
time.
worth.
You know what I'm saying? Because I pay for all those amenities and all of that stuff, and I'm never there.
Yes.
I mean, like I did not realize until I actually got a chance to sit down that Anika said like work chased her into the break.
Man, yes.
From the beginning of the year on into the end of the year, work has been chasing me, and you know me, I'm literally all over the place.
Always out.
All the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I gifted myself some solitude over break. And it was wonderful. And I, sat on my couch. And
Feel refreshed?
I feel amazing. Today is literally my first day back in the saddle. Whoa. So Bridge Detroit was like, okay, we be back in the office on January 2nd. I said,
it's going to
be another week for your boy. And I mean that. So I feel good.
That.
I feel good. Hosted some family for Christmas Eve. Did did a Creole Christmas as a nod to my paternal grandmother. She's this
Wow.
Creole
Did you cook?
woman. I cooked.
You made gumbo and all that stuff?
I cooked. So I made red beans and rice.
Okay.
I made homemade cornbread. I
Wow.
made Creole green beans. I fried some chicken.
What are Creole green beans?
I'll tell you about it.
Okay.
I got some help on the gumbo because I
Okay.
didn't want to mess that up.
Yeah, you can't mess
from
up gumbo.
the Chef Edric Godin.
Okay. Oh, we're going to be working on her this year.
Okay, let's do it.
Yes.
Lawrielle, how about you? How was your break? How are you doing?
Well, if I had a break, it would have been really, really good.
Yeah.
Working in the Kwanzaa season, I was just telling Charity that sometimes everybody else's break is actually my very, very active season.
Yeah.
So sometime in Q1, I just have to take it to point to take my week off and rest. But shout out to Cat Williams. He did make my time off worth it. He taught me a lot of things. Of course, he dropped a lot of
taught
tea,
you.
but he also dropped a lot of entrepreneurial gems for
here.
me to take from it. So I'll definitely be revisiting that. And shout out to Shannon Sharp because Cub Shay Shay really went up.
I
And
have so many mixed feelings about that whole experience.
Really?
I do.
That should have been a hot take.
I had to text Charity Dean one night to tell her to go to bed. I mean, she had changed her profile picture on Facebook
I did
to
to
Cat
Cat
Williams
Williams. I
and
did.
Shannon
I
Sharp.
did.
I mean, that was an off the rails.
But you know what?
It was like watching a train wreck.
I feel
it really was.
Here's my 2 seconds on it.
Go ahead. And as an interviewer, I'm like, Shannon, what do you know? It's a
Look,
skill, and he don't
I
have it.
feel like Cat spoke to my soul because sometimes when you're in the industry, and you're dealing with the same people every time, and you're dealing with the same audiences every time. There's so much that folks do not know, and sometimes you can only take so much.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, and I've talked about this on this show when we started the Metro Detroit Black Business Alliance, we went through so much that if I did my Cat Williams interview,
I was there.
right?
I was there
and
for
so
it. Yeah.
there's something to
Yeah.
be said about the truth finally coming out.
Okay,
and so,
I understand. Now I get it.
Okay, now you
right?
get my-
I get it. And I see you, friend. Like,
Yes.
I see you because I'm privy to a lot of the stuff that was going on at that
Yes.
time because, we were interviewing you
Yep.
off the record a
Yep.
lot of the times that you
Yep.
couldn't even publicize or really speak
Yes.
the truth to what was happening. I guess I would say, he went on there to correct a lot of the record and to tell the truth, right? And, from lies that have been told. But he told a couple of lies himself. I'm like, bruh.
Look here, yeah. I mean,
Bruh.
look, yeah, I agree, right? Like at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I took from that interview what I heard was like someone fed up of people saying things, and being like, hey, that's actually not how it happened.
Yeah.
Now the 3,000 books, all of those things, like, look, I mean, that's between
I
cat
actually
and
think
God.
he was messing with us on that. I
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think he was serious.
Yeah.
But
But I appreciated the underdog saying, "Hey, y'all, like this ain't that, and let's just call it
Yeah.
out."
yeah.
Let's call it out.
Yeah, it's been interesting, and like while I can appreciate when somebody comes for Steve Harvey's neck any day of the
I'm
week. because I
screaming
cannot
right
stand for
now.
Steve.
I am screaming.
I don't see it
Orlando
for Steve
always
Harvey, and
gets
I've
me
never,
every time.
never.
What's wrong with Steve Harvey?
Is it the
show.
unit?
No.
It's many things, and I have talked about that on this show. But there's so much to dissect there,
Yeah.
right? I think Cat Williams is carrying around a lot that
Yeah.
that did not all need to come out in a Shannon Sharp interview, but
agree.
with his therapist,
Yeah.
right? And some, what I mean? Like there are some
No, that's
things
true.
that
That's
we
true.
harbor and carry, especially as Black men, and when
Yes.
given it literally
just-
was a
he
takeover.
just-
And as a journalist,
Yeah.
right, as an interviewer, I spent time
Yes.
perfecting that craft.
Right.
I was screaming
I'm sure.
from the clips that I saw.
Because you become as an interviewer, you're a guy. You're
Yeah.
you're helping us to go
Yeah.
and go here and
Yeah.
go here and yeah. But as a viewer, I
know-
appreciated every moment
I know
of
you
the
did.
3 hour. I watched the whole
Listen,
thing in one
she
sitting.
was giving us quotes and gems.
It was Thursday night. I came home from a long day of work, turned on Club
There
Shay
you
Shay,
go.
and wrote all
shout
my.
out to Shannon Sharp, man. All right. For Hot Takes, how Detroit fits into Michigan's population growth plan. This is by my colleague at Bridge Detroit, Malachi Barrett. So Michigan's lack of attractive urban areas was closely linked to the state's population struggles by a governor-appointed commission, sparking discussion in Detroit about how the state's largest city will benefit from plans to attract new residents. The bipartisan Growing Michigan Together Council released its first report in December after 6 months of discussions, sending a set of policy recommendations to Governor Gretchen Whitmer and the state legislature. The 86-page report highlights an urgent need to improve access to career training, good-paying jobs, public transit, and affordable housing in major cities like Detroit. Whitmer's Council convened to help make Michigan a top 10 state for population growth by 2050. Policymakers are gathering at the Detroit Policy Conference this week on Thursday to consider whether the roadmap will direct new residents to Detroit. The December report makes little mention of specific geographies where growth strategies will be focused, but identifies that Michigan lacks the vibrant amenities and housing to attract and retain young talent to our cities. Anika Goss, a voting member of the Population Commission and Detroit Future Cities Chief Executive Officer, advocated for an economic growth strategy that begins with improving education and connecting current residents to career opportunities. During the last 30 years, Michigan's population growth has ranked second to last in the country.
Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, Detroit's population declined. The state only grew by 9%, but the population in Detroit plummeted by nearly 40% since 1990. Nearly half, which is at 44% of Michigan's migration loss in 2021, was attributed to young adults aged 22 to 24. The average young adult who relocates to Detroit traveled only 62 miles, not much further than Flint or Jackson. Charity, I know you got a lot to say about this.
I do. So first of all, we are in a pivotal time. 2024 is a huge election year. We got boundaries being redrawn. 2025 is a huge election year. The future of our state depends on the future of Detroit, and the future of Detroit population growth in Detroit depends on people that are committed to growing the middle class and making sure Detroit is attractive to young people. And so we've not only seen the population decline in Detroit where folks are leaving Michigan, the state, but they're leaving the city and going to places like Farmington Hills, going to places like Southfield.
Because it's cheaper to live there.
It's cheaper to live there. It's easier to do business. I'm going to say it every time. It's easier for a small business to do business in those cities. It's easier. You've got crime, and we'll talk a little bit about that. School systems. I mean, there are a number of issues. And I'm glad about the task force. I'm glad about the report. But if you're not focusing on how we are going to grow population in Detroit, then I think we're going to miss the mark.
It's vague, right?
Yeah.
The policy conference is this Thursday, the Detroit Policy
I'll
Conference.
be there.
And I'm moderating a conversation on one of the committees that came out of the Growth Council. It'll be my
Which
first.
one is the...
With Angelique Power, the K through 12 subcommittee out of there. But the report is vague, and I feel like there was intention around it being vague, especially around, not doing the work to suss out like some of the costs and the policy implications of some of these recommendations. Right. But it's also vague in the fact that Detroit... If Detroit goes, so does the rest of the state.
Absolutely.
And for it to not really have a whole really specified focus on growing the state's largest urban core, because that is what is desired right now. If we look at trends, people are moving away from suburbia and they want urban centers. They want to be in the city. And so for the report to still be super vague around...
and I think I've heard some conversation around some of the vagueness being, wanting to be able to translate the report into policy and legislation and being able to
and the
get
legislature
things.
Be mad
they
when everything
hate the
be
word
focused on Detroit.
They don't
and
like
I get it. I know that there's political expediency beyond that, but I think we also have to move in realism. And the fact of the matter is this: I don't care if you're in the UP, I don't care if you're in the
Grand Rapids,
in the southwest side of the state. If Detroit goes, so does the rest of the state.
Absolutely.
But, there's controversy around the makeup of this council and how it lacked young people, and they want to figure out how to attract young people. And every other announcement that we hear from our governor's office and our mayor's office is around really singular industry in the city, in the state, right? And that's the automotive industry. Things related to building cars, whether it's a battery plant, whether it's a manufacturer, whether it's a automotive supplier, and everybody don't want to work in that industry.
No, and it's 2023, y'all.
I mean, it's the industry that brought Detroit to its knees. And so if we continue to just reinvest and put all of our eggs in this one basket,
we love it. We love that basket because it's convenient. It's what we know. But we need. I mean, when you think about high growth industries, right? And you're thinking about tech, for example, right? And
here we go.
I mean, the conversation around how do we make sure that these industries are accessible to folks that look like the population demographic of Detroit, right? And where is the intentionality around making sure that our folks have access to those industries, those high growth, areas, those are the ones that folks are going to be attracted to. You don't have young people are not moving out to look for a manufacturing job in, in Missouri. That's not happening. And more and more young people want to be entrepreneurs. You cannot get away from it.
We talking to
right? And entrepreneurship transcends industry. Right?
Absolutely.
Right. So if we really start digging into what it means to be a region or an area that is accessible for entrepreneurship, where entrepreneurs can thrive and grow and build,
and we have
then we
so
might
many
have something.
assets.
Yes.
I mean, you can't get better water in the world.
Okay.
Right?
That's exactly right.
You know what I'm saying? In this state, in the world,
Yes.
there's no better or fresher water
Yes.
than that of the Great Lakes, right?
Yes.
We have... Detroit is an asset. Like, I want to continue to pound for pound for Detroit. I mean, there's so many things that we can do.
It's
so
the
I'm
Mecca.
really interested.
Yeah.
Detroit is the Mecca for Black people in America.
Absolutely.
It really is.
Everybody from Detroit.
Everybody
got ties.
That's right.
I also feel like, too, we talk about a lack of young people, the young population in Detroit and Michigan. Like, you got to make it make sense. Young people are quick to quit their jobs, so if we're not getting the pay we want, we're out of here.
Yep.
Young people, I think a big sector of my peer group are interested in the entertainment industry, or Detroit right now isn't a place where they can really thrive and you can be global just being in Detroit.
Yeah, there's some talk about bringing that film incentive back because that
Absolutely.
did a lot for a lot of folks. And we had
But I'm going to tell you
industry.
this: Detroit is killing it on Tubi. I mean,
Yeah, okay.
Why
I
you make
thought
that
Tubi
face?
was
Let
in.
me tell
I thought
you.
Tubi was in Detroit until
It is?
I'm like, wait a minute.
Well,
They need a satellite headquarters
we have
here.
so many Detroit artists on Tubi. It's like even at the Black Business Alliance, we have a number of our members
Making
that are
films.
Tubi. And they're making films. And
Shout out to Randy and her talk show.
Okay, and there's money to be made there. So there is
Absolutely.
a grit around us. I mean, we already know that, right? But there needs to be much more intentionality about what
But
entrepreneurship
policymakers need to be paying attention to that kind of stuff. Like, what
You mean policymakers need to pay attention to
what are we already doing that we aren't that we aren't propping up? Tubi is one of them. You know what I mean?
I think we are, I continue to have these conversations about what it means to be a policymaker or elected official. And I think they continue to listen to the same people, which are the people that are
I mean, look at the members of this Growth Council. It's the same old literally same old people.
Yeah, it is time. It is absolutely time for the folks that are making decisions to kind of get off the wheel of, these are my constituents, these are my donors, and so I want to make them happy, as opposed to being like, let's look at who makes up our city, who makes up our region, what is happening, do they have a voice? And so one of the things that I continue to see, especially in the city of Detroit, I hold my city to high standards because I expect that. But there's whole populations of folks that continue to get ignored by policymakers because they're regular small business, middle class folks that don't have time nor money to get the attention of elected officials. And so we really have to change the dynamic of who gets to, whose voice is important. Do you have to have the time to be at city council or drive to Lansing, or do you have to have the money to pay a lobbyist? Or do regular folks matter? And I think the moment that regular folks matter and politicians and elected officials really, really hone in on who is the future. We're talking about retaining folks. How many Gen Zers were on the
Because I don't even know if we had Gen Z on there. Maybe, but I remember
how many millennials?
It was like maybe it was 2 people who were like in that millennial to Gen Z age range. But there's so much to say about this, to the point where the Detroit Regional Chamber decided that it would be the focus of their policy
I'm excited
conference.
for it on Thursday. I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
Are you doing anything?
I am not.
Look at you.
I'm there for the vibes.
Okay.
So we traded places then.
I did. You know what? I am. Well, separately from the policy conference, the Detroit Regional Chamber has a small business initiative called Neighbor Hub. And so I'll be watching to see what's going on with that. So there'll be some small businesses there. So I'll be taking part in that. But so I will be. When is the show airing?
The show airs on Tuesday. Today's Monday, so the show will
so I'm
be
gonna
out
continue to be
Tuesday.
vague. But
no, say more.
I cannot.
Break
I am
the news.
sworn to secrecy. But yes, I'll be hanging around there. But no, I'm not. Last year I did present at the Detroit Policy Conference and talked about the future of black business in downtown Detroit.
And the wealth gap. And
I
it
got real quiet.
To interview you on
You did. It got real quiet for a minute, but I loved it. It was so much fun.
Yeah. Listen, this took up way too much time. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back to talk about Detroit's falling homicide numbers. Yeah, baby. Keep it locked. We'll be right back.
Founded in 2021, the Stoudemire is a membership-based community recreation and wellness center centrally located on the east side of Detroit. Membership in the Stoudemire is available on a sliding scale for up to $20 per year or 20 hours of volunteer time. The Stoudemire offers art, dance, and fitness classes, community meetings and events, resource fairs, pop-up events, the neighborhood tech hub, and more. Members who are residents of the east side have access to exclusive services in the Wellness Network. Join today and live well, play well, be well. Visit ecndetroit.org.
Bridge Detroit is your news and engagement platform that is telling the stories of Detroiters rooted by community priorities. Started in 2020 by Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Stephen Henderson, the newsroom has already established its footing as the go-to source for hyper-local perspectives that ask the hard questions, brings accountability, and searches out real solutions. It's free to become a member of this award-winning news organization. Visit bridgedetroit.com today to sign up to receive the news delivered right to your inbox. Bridge Detroit. By Detroiters, for Detroiters.
Welcome back to Authentically Detroit. We are here with Lawrielle and Charity. We're going to talk some more on hot takes. Officials tout Detroit's falling homicide rate. This is by Jack Neeson at Fox 2 Detroit. So at the end of a wide-ranging press conference where Detroit police championed both its collaboration with other groups and the results it was getting with falling homicides and cutting down on the backlog of court cases, the chief expressed his appreciation for the city. The police department recorded its lowest homicide rate since 1966 last year with 252 people killed. It's an 18.4% drop since 2022, bringing the city's murder rate down from the surge in violence that came with the COVID pandemic. But for Chief James White, the encouraging results came in many other forms. The areas of the city with the highest crime rates saw the steepest declines. The department acquired more money to hire back officers that had left for police departments outside of Detroit. Its One Detroit partnership with the U.S. Attorney's Office targeted people with criminal backgrounds and gave them options for becoming productive citizens. The Wayne County Circuit Court Chief Judge ramped up prosecution of felony gun crimes, lowering the number of delayed cases from 4,000 to 500. White also reported encouraging results out of the city's criminal violence intervention initiative, which tasked 6 community groups with using strategies beyond just arrests to lower rates of violence. Force Detroit, Detroit Friends and Family, and Detroit People's Community recorded a 50% drop in homicides in their areas. The violent crime summary from Wednesday's press conference included a 1% overall drop. In assessing the year-end differences between 2022 and 2023, there were declines in homicides, rape, robbery, non-fatal shootings, and carjackings. However, property crimes rose, with the biggest spike coming from larcenies. I got some stuff to say about this. Charity, what say you?
Well, anytime crime is down, that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
And so kudos.
Shout out to Chief James White. I think the chief is doing the best job he can.
Okay.
I do.
That's great. I don't know much. But I will say this, I was very intrigued by the community violence initiative. Essentially what that was the city got
Shot Stopper.
I'm not even talking about that yet. That's a whole different one. I'm talking about they got the money, and they said to these community groups, if you can stop crime
that's
in
Shot
your
Stopper.
Oh,
not Shot Spotter.
Okay, got it.
Shot Stopper.
That's funny.
I'm with you. I'm
Is
following you.
that
That's the name of it. It's called Shot Stopper. I got your back. Go ahead. I was just helping you. Keep going.
So yes, that was very intriguing, and so I'm very interested to see how that program goes. Shout out to Ray Winans on the East Side, who I know who's been working hard on
and
that.
Alea Harvey Quinn.
Yeah.
And all of these folks. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love the idea of bringing in the community to do, I think, what the community does best, which is work with the community. Look, at the end of the day, I'm glad to see progress. I still think we have a long way to go
Absolutely.
in our city, and we have to always be thinking about the root of crime.
There you go.
Which is linked to poverty, mental health, our education system. And so I would love to see holistic reporting on that drop. Like maybe we've seen a correlation
between like the CVI partners, like Force Detroit,
Yeah.
Aaron Way Winans, because
Yeah.
that's exactly the kind of work that they get at. In
Right.
addition to literally being on the streets and
Right.
doing the hard work,
Right.
because that's work
Of
I can't do. They
being
do
like,
it.
Ray, come here.
Come here.
Come
What
here.
are you doing?
What you about to do?
What you
Come
doing?
sit with me
Come
right now.
Sit down. But you know what? I want to see the mayor's office messaged this rate and this stat really effectively. It got people excited.
Yeah.
But he also messaged it in a way that was really, really politically expedient for him, because it is without the context of population loss. And we know
that's
that
important.
Detroit has had massive population loss beginning in the 1950s, right?
Yeah.
Where the city saw its highest rate of residents at around 2 million people.
Yeah.
But also in 1967, we were still a little under. Were we at 1 million or maybe a little under 2? We were in the millions or close to it, right?
Yeah.
And so there were people. My dad was having this conversation with me. He was like, "Yo, there were people everywhere. You couldn't go anywhere. There was no vacancy.
Right.
There wasn't
Vacant lots.
land.
Yeah.
Like there were people."
Yeah.
Everywhere. And so I would like to see some of these numbers adjusted to factor in the fact that we've lost millions of people.
Yeah.
We are a little under 600,000 residents in the city of Detroit versus where we were in 1967, upwards of 1 million or maybe even more than that, right? And so it's effective messaging, but I think if we add in that context, it will tell a different story. And so we've seen the number of homicides drop. We're not talking about rate. I'm not even talking about
it's not
percentages.
It's just numbers.
We're talking about the
Got it.
number.
Okay,
right?
so that's different. Yeah.
That's why media literacy is important, Black people.
Yes. Come on, Orlando. I think the other thing is correlation matters.
Yes.
And so when you see a press release with something like that, the message you see, Detroit is safer. And so we want to understand, is it safer and why is it safer? And what is different in 2023 than was in 2019?
If Donna were here, Donna would say, I never lived in a safe Detroit. And Donna was born in the 1960s, right? She was like, Detroit has always been, this isn't a new thing. This is what she would say. But go ahead.
And I mean, take out Detroit, urban area, right? We're a city, right?
Legit.
And so some of those things come with the territory. But I think it would be really important, not only for folks that are reading this and hearing this, but to understand, and really, frankly, for the officers that are on the street, how did we get here, right? Did our mental health initiative work? Are we seeing an increase in folks that are coming in from the street, not going to jail, but going and getting mental health help? Like, are there other
it's
tangible
so hard to
things?
get those numbers. So Bridge Detroit has done extensive reporting around that mental health intervention that they erected within the police department, where there is it's not a civilian, but maybe in some cases it is a civilian and a police officer that will go on a run with police. But it's so hard to get data, right? And so thank God for FOIA, but sometimes FOIA takes a long time. And so we don't know the efficacy of that.
But the city should know, right? I mean,
but we're not getting the data. That's what I'm saying. And the city ain't publishing the data so that everybody can know. You know what I'm saying?
So then my recommendation then to the chief, hey chief, it's Charity, what up though? Publish that data, because it's really important, and I think it might be something that you might be proud of, right? To be able to articulate how the mental health initiative. I worked for the mayor, so he measures everything, and so I'm sure that the police department is measuring it, and so I think it'd be helpful to see that correlation, if there is a correlation, and maybe it's not. So maybe they're saying, okay, we haven't seen enough trends here, but maybe this community violence initiative is one where we've seen a trend. And I think that stat about the areas with the highest rates of crime have seen the sharpest decline, that tells me that might be connected to the CVI.
Yeah. And the CVI was a small piece of this story.
Yeah.
But in my story, you know what I'm saying? Like in my head, that's the piece. That's the story.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? These orgs who have been doing this work for years, under-resourced, but still doing amazing work, finally getting a little bit of a kick. And the mayor wasn't sure on it. I don't know if you guys remember his State of the City. He was like, okay, we're going to try this.
Yeah, and see if
and
it
then
works.
we'll see if
Well,
not.
I'm gonna tell you, I was skeptical. I was, because I'm like, what if they don't? What if it doesn't work? Like, I was kind of skeptical when I first heard it. Also, because I felt like it was like,
But we've been putting money behind other things that don't work.
That's true. That's true.
That's true. These all kinds of surveillance technologies and stuff like that.
I was initially skeptical, but I talked to Ray. I sat down with Ray, and he broke it down. And I was like, okay, this makes sense. But I was like, what? Are y'all outsourcing y'all job?
You know what I appreciate about you, Charity Dean, is that like you allow us into like your journey, right?
Yes.
And just like your thought process, like you may say something that I'm like, what are you talking about? Skeptical, but then you're like, oh, but then I had to have the conversation, and I think that's how we should approach. We should approach everything with a healthy level of restraint and maybe a little bit of skepticism
and curiosity.
That's the word. A journalist, right? And then interview, talk, talk, and engage more, and then learn.
Look, and now we got the stats,
and now we got it.
So look. It's a beautiful thing.
Let's talk to Lawrielle West, y'all.
What up, though, girl?
And KwanzaaMe. KwanzaaMe is the manifestation of Lawrielle's love of Black people.
Come on,
Black
now.
culture.
Come on.
And honoring Black traditions.
Say Black.
Born and raised raised on the west side of Detroit. I forgive you for that, but we love you. Lawrielle began her woodworking journey at Barnabas Youth Center, where she learned to professionally produce wooden crafts. She noticed how Juneteenth was the first time many people on an individual, community, and corporate level recognized and celebrated how Black ancestors got their freedom, and wanted to keep that same energy with Kwanzaa at a time when we can plan what our freedom looks like. Combined with years of community organizing experience and a passion for community and shared values, she embraces a Kwanzaa everyday lifestyle with open arms. And she is also a member of the Metro Detroit Black Business
Alliance. Let them know.
Charity, go ahead. I know you got questions. I know you got comments.
Yes, I do. So also shout out one of the first members of the Metro Detroit Black Business Alliance back in 2021. I have to say that.
I love it for you.
But Lawrielle, why don't you tell us a little bit about first Kwanzaa?
Yeah.
Just break it down for us. Break it down for us and for the audience.
Yeah, so Kwanzaa is a 7-day cultural holiday that helps us celebrate Black community and culture. It started in 1966 in California. It was founded by Black community activists, organizers, academics. A little Black girl magic behind Kwanzaa that a lot of people don't know is that it was a little Black girl named Baraka that actually questioned the elders and adults around her, like, why we don't have our own holiday? And they was like, you're right. So they went to go research. They studied African traditions, African festivals, and created Kwanzaa. And the context of that is that was right around the time of the Watts riots too. So Black people, specifically that group of Black people, were really looking for opportunity for Black people to really come together, be able to be proud of our heritage and say, this is what we're gonna stand in. This is what we stand in on business on. So
that part where we gonna stand on business on that.
Standing on business.
It's so funny, and so I'm very excited about this conversation, especially with Kwanzaa, because we've got a double kind of edge issue here when you deal with Kwanzaa, right? So there's the, let's educate the folks and the corporate folks that try to want to participate in Kwanzaa, but there's also sometimes a disconnect in our own community.
Absolutely.
You hear, your cousins be like, that's a made up holiday. I'm like, every holiday is
holiday
right.
Literally made up.
No, really. When I first, Kwanzaa, I didn't grow up celebrating Kwanzaa, so it's something I recently adapted. So I've had my own just really interesting journey with Kwanzaa, period, and then bringing it to a business. So when I was doing my market research to start, I'm like, okay, let me go to all the African stores, see if they got canards. I go to 10 African stores in Detroit. They like, Kwanzaa, what's that? So they don't know. They like Kwanzaa cloth. I'm like, let me get out here. They don't know. But then when I do vending and things like that, African Americans, our Black people are looking like, they don't look like it's for them. And I'm like, this is actually made for us, by us. So it really is breaking down a lot of ignorance, even when it comes to religion. Like Kwanzaa is not religious. We're not worshiping no gods. You know, we light candles, but it's just a vibe. It's not like, you know, no extra ceremony that we're.
Because your Baptist grandma is saying this house is for.
I grew up in the Baptist church that had Kwanzaa
that
programs and stuff like that.
Yep.
But you know, it also taps into what is intrinsic in Black people, and that is communion and community, right? We have taken on America's identity of rugged individualism, but that ain't us, right? And so talk about the unlearning that a lot of us have to do to celebrate.
Yeah, like it's a learning and unlearning. Juneteenth is hundreds of years old, and when I started KwanzaaMe 2020, 2021, I literally did my market research and like, okay, how many times do people research Juneteenth? That year, it went up. But 2 years before that, it went up like 200, 300%. So I'm like, people are interested. I'm seeing y'all wearing dashikis. Everybody named mama, even corporations are trying to do Juneteenth. Half of y'all did it wrong.
Target
corporations. I remember they had a watermelon salad at a museum somewhere. Like, half of y'all did it wrong. My Black people, you know,
I'm screaming.
I can't tell Black people how to do their traditions, but let me give you a little guidance on historical context and traditionally what happens. But when it comes to unlearning, like, Kwanzaa is not an African holiday.
That's right.
You know, it was definitely founded and rooted in and created from African traditions and festivals, but it's not African holiday.
Swahili language.
So it is for Black people, all Black people. People that are not Black can celebrate it and know about it, and they will consume it. So I'd rather be here and be the gatekeeper of Kwanzaa to outside community and say, hey, this is how you do it. Don't do too much. Right. This is how you can be educated. You can buy a set for a friend. You know, like just all the things. So when it comes to the unlearning, just being open and not automatically dismissing things like, oh, that's African. But like if you're Black, you know, we all come from the motherland, so it's part of our traditions,
and we Black all over the world.
That's right.
We Black all over the world. I've always said that. Talk about the mission of your organization, though, and what the output is. Like, so
I want to help people celebrate Black community and culture year round. I'm a woodworker. You talked about. I do products. So I make Kwanzaa kits. I do different lifestyle products and merch and things like that. But I also do programming. So when we think about,
I got the merch right here, baby.
Okay, I see the coffee cup.
I got the coffee cup.
And they say Habari Ghani, what up though? Because I'm always moving in how I can reflect my Detroit roots and African roots, and they're not separate. They're very much tied for me. And every time you see something from KwanzaaMe, you'll see that happening.
You see Detroit in it, huh?
Right. You know, you'll always see that because, like you were saying before, I always say Detroit is a Black Mecca. Like, it's the Black Mecca. I don't care if we down 40% or not. We still are inspiring people across the world and throughout time with the things that we do in our culture, whether y'all give us credit or not. You know?
I mean, look at how U of M celebrates when they be winning. They put on the bus.
Man.
Absolutely.
That's Detroit.
All day.
You know what I mean? Like, we got cousins in the Bay. Like, okay, cool. We got our culture is reflected there, you know? So I think those things are important. Also, addressing with unlearning, I would say coming into the Kwanzaa community, because it was formed in 1966, we got people that celebrate Kwanzaa now that was there from day one. That's like, I am the bearer of Kwanzaa. And I love that to
is
teach
so
me.
Rich.
Right. And I love that to teach me, but also for me with KwanzaaMe, the only tradition I really hold that's rigid with Kwanzaa is knowing the candles and the colors. Other than that, I encourage people to celebrate Kwanzaa how you want. Maybe you're not going to get a physical kinara for 3 years. But 1 year I was so tired, I was lighting my kinara on Google. Like, you know, I'm going to light the flame. It's midnight, I'm so tired, but Imani
face. You had an ear corn with you, like, I'm
absolutely.
Have my corn
Absolutely, you know. But when unlearning, I also would challenge people who have celebrated Kwanzaa for so long, they're not used to seeing Kwanzaa how I do it. You know, when it comes to very, very traditional Kwanzaa, it says like don't mix it with other traditions like European. So if I come Kwanzaa clause, people like, you can't do that. What? You can't mix it. But I'm like, well, how else do I talk to 6-year-olds? I'm sorry, I went to a daycare and made myself Kwanzaa clause and African clothes, and now they understand Kwanzaa and they like
Santa Claus.
Yeah,
Kwanzaa clause.
So they're like, you can't do that.
I was getting ready to ask what that was. Kwanzaa clause,
right?
I love that.
So, you know, but those people that have started Kwanzaa, you know, they're like, you didn't read the book. He said this, you know. And in another interview, we could talk about other things. The founder has also said and did that as context. So why I'm not straight up like Kwanzaa just by the book. I didn't do Kwanzaa by the book when I first started, and it was one of the most special experiences in my life.
I think you have to make it your own. My sister celebrated Kwanzaa. My sister celebrated. She gave gifts to her family and stuff. They did activities, so I think that's part of it, right?
And it's, you know, I just think you really have to just start people where they're at. Like I'm not going to literally a daycare where everybody is 6 and under and reading from the textbook of Kwanzaa.
And the thing about it, Lawrielle, is you can actually do that and say, by the way, here's what they say, but here's what we're doing, right? So you can make that distinction,
given that context. Yeah. And that's just something I'm just learning with my brand and my business. You know, if the things I do and the way I do it kind of hit you wrong, or like, no, this is not the community for you.
Yeah,
and that's okay.
that's
This is the KwanzaaMe can, and it's not for everybody. You know, if you want to stay with the 1966 way, that's cool. But how do you expect? I'm under 30, and it's 2023. How and why would I do something the same way you did in 1966?
But you know what? That's what I love about, Gen Zs, right? Y'all ain't asking for permission. I say this about Jerron Howard all the time too.
I love him.
Like y'all see something, it's like, this needs to be done, so I'm gonna do it. I don't,
when
we were coming up, we were.
But
I'm just saying, like when Charity and I were coming up, we had this.
Put some respect on my age. Okay, I am. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We had this thing where we were submissive, super submissive to the elders, so much so that if they decided that they wanted to hold us back, we would be succumb to that, right?
That's real.
And be heartbroken about that. But y'all are like, whatever.
Yeah.
Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
Well,
standing on business.
In addition to some of the merchandise that you have, you do classes, and do you go to corporations? Can people contact you if they want to learn about Kwanzaa? What are some of the other offerings that your company has?
Absolutely. So I do workshops for all audiences. Like I was saying, I do it for 6-year-olds at daycare, but I also work with University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Boz Blue, other co-working space, and just educating people. Yes, around Kwanzaa, Black History Month, and Juneteenth, but in general, cultural programming helps all environments.
That's right.
It helps with your communication. It helps with team building. It helps with being able to do problem solving. So I do workshops through all audiences. I just finished working with the Pistons. I work with the Henry Ford Museum. I work with the Charles Wright Museum in December. If you want to learn about the workshops and programming I do, KwanzaaMe.com.
Just getting ready to ask you, like, what's the part of that suite? Like, of workshops and things you do.
So some examples I've done like the history of soul food. So that's a big one for Juneteenth. People have done. Sometimes I literally just do all about Kwanzaa, so people being able to catch a little, like, we'll watch the Penny Proud episode of Kwanzaa to give us something accessible. I'll give a little talk on Kwanzaa, and then we'll do trivia. So just having something fun. A lot of times corporations bring me in for either their Black Employment Research Group or just period HR. Like, look, we just need you to come in and talk about some things because we're getting it wrong. So I really can. My background is in social work and community organizing. So I have a passion for community shared values, and my first year of business, I just did products, but I love teaching. We talked about teaching and learning and facilitating. So it's really, that's the part of my business that makes me the happiest, because I'm able to come in and make a workshop based on what you want. So maybe you'll get me, and it's not like, okay, you don't want Kwanzaa, but okay, we're a fashion organization business. We'll talk about the history of African cloth in that, or Black history designers. So just really making sure that we're acknowledging, uplifting Black culture, community, accomplishments, and all the things that we do.
I love that.
We're gonna take our last break of the show, and then we're gonna come back. I want to ask you about commercial commodification of some of our holidays and our celebrations when we come back. Keep it locked.
Have you always dreamed of being on the airwaves? Well, the Detroit Eastside Engaged Podcast Network, or DEEP for short, is here to make that dream a reality. Located inside the Stoudemire, the DEEP Network offers studio space and production staff to help get your podcast idea off the ground. Doesn't take a whole lot of work to get started. Just visit the Authentically Detroit page at ecn-detroit.org or call Sarah at 313-948-0344.
Founded in 2021, the Stoudemire is a membership-based community recreation and wellness center centrally located on the east side of Detroit. Membership in the Stoudemire is available on a sliding scale for up to $20 per year or 20 hours of volunteer time. The Stoudemire offers art, dance, and fitness classes, community meetings and events, resource fairs, pop-up events, the neighborhood tech hub, and more. Members who are residents of the east side have access to exclusive services in the Wellness Network. Join today and live well, play well, be well. Visit ecndetroit.org.
All right, welcome back to Authentically Detroit. We're here with Charity D, my special guest co-host. And the Charity D.
THVD.
And Lawrielle West from KwanzaaMe. So what we've seen in recent years, especially since the George Floyd murder in 2020, is corporations trying to figure out how to celebrate and make, this is uninformed, right? But make Black people feel seen in some of the places where we do commerce, right? So we see Target doing like Juneteenth and Kwanzaa, and we see all of these, and a lot of them get it wrong, right? A lot of them get it very, very wrong,
Right.
Is this something that's here to stay? Like this commodification and this co-opting of Black African traditions and celebration?
Yeah, I think that's going to be around forever. People are always, one thing is ignorance. So like at any point you can be ignorant. It's not bad to be ignorant, but when you continue to stay in it, or like I've had people tell me like, yeah, we want to make sure we have the right people planning this. We want to bring you in for Kwanzaa programming, but have no budget. That's a problem for me as a person with not only a lot of experience, but degrees. And this is how I make my money. You know, how much do you really want to invest in Kwanzaa for real? Like cooperative economic, people will be like, well, if you want to make, for me too, thinking about commodification, people even give me critiques about capitalizing off Kwanzaa. I'm like, well, how much do you want me to uphold and uplift the culture without getting paid? Right. What am I supposed to be? Do you want me to put at least 40 hours a week? Yeah. Are you going to be paying my bills? Are you going to be putting food in my mouth? Are you making sure my laundry is washed? Like, you know, I feel like when it comes to commodification, it's going to continue to happen. But for me, with KwanzaaMe, I think one of the only brands that's being like, hey, let me give you a little insight.
And you're authentic, right? So it's not, I mean, I think in your instance, as an entrepreneur, you've come into this space and you're bringing authenticity and research and giving a quality product and a quality service.
Absolutely.
As a Black person in America.
Right.
I think that's different than corporations or folks that are looking to
capitalize.
Capitalize.
Make money.
Sometimes, you know,
I'm like, were there Black people in the room when y'all made this decision?
Absolutely, and that's it. Like were you really invested? Did you have really Black leadership, Black faces?
Like, legit. And I'm not talking about tokenized Black. I'm talking about like Black folks.
I think, I'm going to say this. Like, I think, at least from what I'm not going to call out corporations because I don't want to do that. But I've seen some folks, at least it appears to me that there's well intent. Like,
that's why I tried to message the intro. Yeah.
But there are, you did it excellently. But there are folks that, so I think we actually have three categories. You've got folks that their intentions are well, and you can see the intentionality behind. And there are some large corporations that will highlight Black-owned businesses, or they will use Black designers for whatever merchandise that they're doing during that time, right? I don't know the behind the scenes or what those deals look like to really speak to whether or not it's fair, but I will say that. Then you've got folks that just do it wrong, which is like, you know, to your point, the watermelon salad at a thing, right? And then you got folks that just aren't doing anything, right? And so I think that there is something to be said, at least for the first category that I mentioned. But there's so much work that we have to do, because what we have to realize, I think, is that Black history is American history. And so there is, I think, an imperative for corporations, for organizations, for entities to be doing this.
And I think it's also a question of, you know, it's going to be hard to show up your best Black History Month, Kwanzaa, Juneteenth if you don't show up any other time of the year.
That's exactly right.
What does your DEI solution look like year round? And it's, I mean, people think, I definitely am here for Black culture and putting it on, but as soon as somebody challenged Kwanzaa, like, what about Hanukkah? I'm like, bring it on. Let's go. That's another cultural holiday where, like, we benefit from the
that to us.
things.
But no,
right,
but let me stop that right there. Let somebody tell them to call me.
And it's a couple right up the street that done told me, like, we try to stay neutral, but they got a lot of Hanukkah stuff going on. So
I know exactly who you're talking about. Them the same people that told me they didn't know how they felt about Juneteenth. It happened.
But you know what I wanted to...
And I went to their social media page. I said, "Oh, you don't know how you feel about Juneteenth, the literal emancipation of slaves." So let me go. And I went to their social media page and I saw a post about Asian Pacific Awareness Month. I saw a post about Hanukkah, and I thought, this is interesting. And this is why you have to force people to say Black. I always go, because there is a facet of folks that want to make Black a bad word. Therefore, there is a neutral. There's nothing neutral. There's nothing neutral about acknowledging Blackness. Like there's not a side, right? And so
you have to be intentional.
Yeah. And you got to say Black. And if you're not saying Black, I'm gonna tell you to say Black. I don't care who you are, because otherwise we get into where I said, well, we want to say neutral. Well, what side is Black on?
Well, I think that. Well, neutral is white, right? And it's always it's always for the palatability of white America, especially white middle America. But I think we are also, as you were talking, what also came up for me is that there is this backlash against the quote unquote progression and the progressive nature of policies that happened post George Floyd, where there is this outright attack on DEI initiatives and officers and hires.
Yes. Well, I mean, we could talk about the Fearless Fund, right?
That, and you could talk about the firing of Dr. Claudine
Yes.
Gay, or not the firing, but she ended up stepping down and made a lot of that controversy. That's literally nothing, right? It really is nothing. So talk about how you maneuver, like, in this climate, right? And you are going in institutions, right? You're going in universities, you are going in businesses that are also, in some ways, I'm not saying the businesses that have retained you are, but the industries are the perpetrators of this erasure, right? And this regressive policy, these regressive policies that we're seeing.
Yeah, I would say in the age of the time where we're seeing an attack on DEI and just cultural awareness, there's also another spectrum where they're like, nah, we need to ramp this up. So a lot of times I do get traction from those folks who are like, all the hate is actually feeling a lot of love and positive energy towards me and towards, cultural awareness, period. So that's really helpful for me. Yeah. I think that if I go into a space and they like, we want a nice, friendly Kwanzaa presentation, nothing crazy. I'm like, I didn't come here saying black power and power to the people, but people oftentimes will just show me in the first consultation about what kind of Kwanzaa presentation they want. I usually ask what their goals are. Like, if they're like, we want people to be aware of the Black Power movement, okay, we can go ahead and add that in. Or they're like, we just want our people to have fun, okay, we can add the fun in. So I think that, to me, it's not hard. If someone doesn't like the DIE things, they don't usually approach me. I haven't gotten to the celebrity status where I'm getting hate mail or like, you need to stop. We don't need to fund your things. Like, I'm actually getting the opposite energy from people who are seeing those things and like, hey,
we need to
I want to fund this thing. I don't know nothing about Kwanzaa, but you're the girl for it. I see your things. Help us do this. So,
and I think that's important, and I think your organization is important to continue doing that, because that other current is absolutely there. It's absolutely there, and it's more it's dangerous. It's really, really dangerous. And from a legal perspective, I'm paying attention to the Court of Appeals and what's happening with the Fearless Fund. But it is dangerous. We need to be riled up. And so we should. I've been talking to Dewan about this, because what the decision makes will absolutely impact their work, and it could impact ours. And so we need organizations, Lawrielle, like yours, to continue doing that. But we also are aware of this current. There is a current of opposition to really, and that's why I just start
really
with
effective.
Yes,
I mean, look at the oust of Claudine Gay.
Yes.
I mean, they created this sandstorm out of nothing. And it was effective.
Yes.
It's crazy. And so,
and that's why we have to call it out. When I wrote that op-ed last year after the Detroit City Council did the thing with Olympia, and they didn't say black, and the small things like that, it's a snowball. It's a snowball effect. It's just a little bit. If I believe that the word black is controversial, then anything else that comes from that then becomes controversial. So your DEI products and your programs follow. Like, that's the thing. So we have to not let it slip. When you hear somebody that represents the city of Detroit and they can't say black, we have to call it out.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise we are contributing to this snowball effect that is happened to Claudine. It's what's going on with the Fearless Fund, and they're being they stopped their grant program for black women right now because they're being sued.
I would say who bears the brunt of these regressive policies more times than not are black women.
Yeah, absolutely, 110%.
We as men still benefit from a great deal of male privilege, and I'm not saying that we aren't targets of regressive policies, because we are. I mean, mass incarceration. Hello.
Yeah.
But we still. But I think it's crazy for us not to recognize the privilege that we have of being male.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? And so, shout out to all the black men that spoke up after this oust of Dr. Gay. Before we go, I love the principles of Kwanzaa. You know what I'm saying? They're near and dear to my heart. I have a favorite, but I want to know what your favorite principle is.
Ooh.
My favorite principle, I think it would be Kuumba, which means creativity, because that just helps me do whatever I want to do every day. And I think having a business like KwanzaaMe, having a lifestyle brand like this, it's no other business I can follow where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna look at what they did and do that. So every day when I have an idea, I'm like, let's do it. Someone comes to me, even if I don't provide a service or do it, I'm like, okay, get at me in a week. I'm gonna have it going. So I think Kwanzaa creativity is my favorite Kwanzaa principle.
I think I know yours. What's yours?
Nia.
Purpose.
Oh, really? Purpose.
Purpose, absolutely. Shout out to Clark Elementary School on the east side where I went. I learned the Kwanzaa principles in a song that I still remember to this day.
To this day.
Oh, could we hear it?
Ooh moja, kuji chakalia, ujima, ujama, nia, kuma, imani.
Y'all harmonizing everything.
Okay, we hit that.
We did it.
We hit that.
Clark I still remember that.
Wow.
Yes, I learned that at elementary school. DPS, Clark Elementary School on the east side. But yes, Nia absolutely is my. What you thought I was gonna say?
Corroborative
Oh
economics.
yeah. But no purpose because economics is. I'm purpose driven.
Yeah. As an artist, Kuumba has always spoken to me, right? And so I love it. But I also love cooperative economics.
Yeah.
Because it's just who we have always been.
That's right.
as a people.
That's
right.
right.
Cat Williams did say something salient to me around. He was like, there's this narrative around like getting rid of the gatekeepers, but you got the same people at the gates.
He said,
right? Or what did he say?
Oh,
you know she know. Go ahead.
I'm gonna pull it up because Kit Kat bars is what I call them.
It was it was salient for so many reasons. But go ahead, tell
People
me.
get mad when you say gatekeepers, but then it's always the same people.
He said they tell you that there are no gatekeepers, but we keep seeing the same people opening up the gate.
That part, right?
That's facts.
That part. And that is our subconscious adaptation to
white supremacy,
this American dream, capitalism culture, and all of that. And that really is just not who we are. Yeah. We are always and always have been better together.
Yes.
And so that's one of my favorites in addition to creativity, because give me the space to just think and originate thought.
Yes,
absolutely.
I'm having a ball. You know what else I'm noticing about you, Lawrielle, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. You speak the way that you speak in melody, like you speak in like this rhythm that makes me think. That makes me think you're an artist or a poet or a singer. Are you any of those things?
Well, she did harmonize on that song.
Okay, we hit that. I mean, I like to sing. I love karaoke.
Period. I loved.
Period.
Come on.
Okay. I was telling Charity that we're going to be opening up a performance arts part of KwanzaaMe, so you'll be able to hit us up for African dance, drumming, black choir, black gospel.
What's the timing on that?
Good question.
Because look here, we do a big Juneteenth festival at Easter Market every year. And because I'm going to tell you, so we had some African drummers a couple years, and we just need some new folks to come on out and diversify.
And that's why I'm doing it. And that's it because they have a lock, especially in Detroit. The same people have a lock on it. And
they don't show up on
that part. You know what I mean?
Well, we're going to have to pivot. Lift every voice.
Man, crowd. All right, everybody sing it together. But look, I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to get myself together and get my drum troupe together. I might be up there myself going to a couple of classes, but let's link and talk about what that look like for Juneteenth.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here with us.
No problem.
Really appreciate it. All right, y'all. It is time for shout outs. But before we get to the shout outs, if you have topics or issues that you would like discussed on Authentically Detroit, you can hit us up on our socials at Authentically Detroit on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or you can email us at authenticallydetroit@gmail.com. All right. Time for shout outs. You got shout outs, Charity?
I got a lot of shout outs. I'm going to go real fast. All right. First of all, my mom and my sister, their birthdays are.
Hey, Mom. Hey, sis.
Shout out to Kyria and Mama, January 12th and 15th, respectively. I have a shout out for Cat Williams.
Yes. I was going to say that too.
Cat, Mr. Williams, if you ever listen to this podcast, I just want to let you know you brought this little old black girl from Detroit so much joy last week. So
I get it now.
Shout out to Cat Williams. The beautiful women that filled the place at Rosa on Wednesday.
Yeah, you had like this vision board.
Goals and gals. And we did a vision board party at Rosa, and it was so beautiful. And these black women were just, I just get my heart. It's just like I was so excited. So to all of the women, and of course, always to every single member of the Metro Detroit Black Business Alliance. What up, though, y'all? We got an all-member meeting next week.
See you there.
Yeah.
Lawrielle, you have any shout-outs?
I'm doubling down on Cat Williams.
Come on.
Because I'm coming Cat Williams with every invoice that's unpaid. So look out for me. If you ain't paid me in 2023, I'm airing you out this month. I want to shout out my family, KwanzaaMe Ken, and shout out Black History Month because we're on the countdown of Black History Month in a few weeks.
Yes.
All right, I would like to very quickly shout out my co-host who just can't get over this hump. Donna, we love you. We
love
miss
you, Donna. I miss you.
And we are hoping that you get well soon.
Yes, I was sick like that over the break, too.
Yeah.
I was.
But she was sick before the break. She's been
was.
fighting this for a long time. And so, get well soon, Donna. We love you. We miss
Donna.
you.
Get well.
Yeah. And I would like to shout out just this level of optimism that I'm seeing around 2024.
Yes.
I think folks were happy to close the 2023 chapter. 2023 was a heavy lift for a lot of us, and I'm looking forward to seeing the manifestation and demonstration in 2024. And like when I say heavy lift, I mean we've been in the gym, we've been working. I mean nonstop. I told y'all at the beginning that work chased us out of 2023.
Yes.
Shout out to Anika Goss for that expression.
Yes.
But when you've been in the gym, there comes a time where it's time to flex a little bit.
Summer season, time to get
It's time to flex.
Yeah.
And so I'm ready to flex a little bit in 2024. So shout out to the flex.
Oh, I cannot wait to see Orlando flex.
Right.
I'm here for it.
Just a little
I'm
bit.
here for it.
Because we don't. I think especially growing up in the household that I grew up in, but also growing up in the Black church, humility is a thing. But there is a way to be proud of your accomplishments and talk your junk and still be a humble person and still be approachable. I'm still always going to lead with love. You know what I mean? I pride myself on folks being able to walk up to me and say hi and me, you know what I mean? But it's gonna be a little bit of a flex.
If I could, you're worthy of a flex. You are absolutely worthy of the flex, Orlando. You are amazing at what you do. There are very few that can do what you do with the grace and the authenticity that you do it. And I'm not just saying that as a friend, but as someone that's utilized Orlando Brayley as an MC for an event, and your level of excellence was amazing. I mean, from start to finish. So
bless you. I appreciate that.
I'm here for the flex.
Yeah, we flexing in 2024. All right, y'all. Donna, get well soon. We love you, and until next time, y'all, keep it locked.